Let's go, he says. Hello. Oh, yeah, I forgot we had the fairy background. Hello, 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 and welcome to another One Line of Code. I am One Lion. We're going to change around some images to start off, but welcome to Friday. I hope you had a great week. My week was pretty good overall. Some exciting things happening, but today could have started off better. I already started off with lots and lots of frustration, but that's okay. That is okay. Sometimes frustration happens and you just roll with it. So let's pick a new image. Which image should we choose? How about the image to image version of myself drinking a cup of coffee next to a laptop, looking weirdly and awkwardly at the camera. Let's go with it. Okay. Unlock you. Allow me to select the image to resize to about, oh, I can't see. So it's snapping. I just wanted to make it, keep going bigger, smaller, bigger, smaller. Anyway, yeah. So that is an actual picture of me, and I had the Stable Diffusion thingy do an image to image, turning me into an anime character, an anime lion character. Yeah. Okay. And let's change our scenery up a little bit. Our scenery today is going to be, which one are you? This one. Our scenery today. Oh, come on. Is going to be something that doesn't load. Oh, right. All right. I did some, yeah, here you go, merch. A treasure vault or a pirate's treasure vault, because I saw someone actually make an image. I don't know if it was their own image or if they had AI do it, but they had an image of pirate treasure on Irish John's stream that they shared. And so I was like, that looks fun. I kind of want to make my own too. So we'll just blend it in and put it over here. And so now we have some booty laying strewn out on a desk. It's so pretty. Anyway, hi everyone, welcome to Friday, and on our channel, Fridays mean community day. So in a little bit, when we get the stream started, I will be inviting people to join us in Discord to share your lovely voice over the stream if you so feel like it. Just know that these streams are recorded and posted to YouTube. So your voice will come through on the stream, and I did remember to turn on the audio output for Discord, so your voice will actually come through on the stream, in the recording, not just on the live stream. And we can talk tech. We can talk about current technology things or existing or historical technology things, if that's your interest. And that was a really, really weird thing that just happened in the window. Creepy. Darby treasure. Finite some little clones. Little clones. They're not little. They're big clones. But yeah, so we can discuss a topic if you so desire. I'd be interested in talking about that. One thing that has come up recently is this YouTuber that I used to watch, and he used to stream all the time. His name is Jesse Weigel. He's a really, really cool person. Yeah, so he started live streaming his current Auto-GPT stuff that he's playing around with. And so I'm like, hey, what is that? And it's a thing called Auto-GPT, so I started playing around with it too. And yeah, that's a topic that's kind of really interesting right now. I tried to get it to do various things, and it's not doing great at them. And it could just be because I'm not the best prompt engineer, the best prompt technician, the best prompt magician, whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, it is pretty. It's in its infancy still. So it has quite a ways to go, even though it is really super duper impressive. But that's a topic that's open for discussion. And just about anything else that, might be going on with you, any current pursuits you might have, or struggles, or whatever. Even complaints, which I will avoid doing today. I've started off the past few streams with some complaints and some drained energy, and I'm trying not to. So, oh my goodness. I asked about 20 technical questions today and didn't go on Stack Overflow once. Whoa. That is a thing, though. That's kind of crazy because Stack Overflow is the place to go when you're asking a technical question. The thing that I do like using, though, is, I'm kind of dark. It's really dreary today. I like it. So I'm going to stay in this kind of shadowed darkness form. Anyway, I was saying something about, a tool that I like to use. An extension is grepper. So if you don't know grepper, I'll show it once we get the stream going. But other than that, do I have anything else to say for the intro? I think I'm done with the intro, so we can go ahead and make sure that the right screen is being displayed and then head on over to that scene. Just like that. Like a magic. Whoa. Why is that? Oh. I forgot to put this image back in here. There it is. My bag. It's back. All coffee. Coffee. All coffee. That really, really is a good rendition of the shirt that I was wearing for that picture. It's a nice shirt. Anyway. So, as I mentioned on Wednesday, though, I am interested in getting this thing to actually do whatever we left off on, and I knew I was going to forget. I was trying my hardest not to forget. I'm pretty sure we have some to-dos. Oh, these here that you see are the Auto-GPT stuffs. And it's pretty easy to get started with. You just go to, we can start with that. You just go to the repository for it. It is github.com/Torrentulino/AutoGPT. So here is the link to it. And this is what the repo looks like. You go here, you clone it, you run pip install requirements in the directory, of course, and then you add your key, your API key. So this, what people are not specifically saying, and I think it's because this is a recent change, is in order to use this, you need an open API key. I said that correctly. And for the Open API key, you need a credit card on the platforms.openai.com site with your login, associated with your login, because I don't think that the free plan allows usage of the API keys anymore. Maybe. Because when I did it with my free plan, it told me you've exceeded the maximum whatever credits, or request exceeds maximum requests, or whatever it's called, until I actually put my credit card number in there. And that means setting up billing, which means that for every API request, you are going to incur some cost. And it's like 0.003 cents per token per, and it's at different rates. So you can definitely look that up and find out if it is worth your time to try it out for something that is extremely experimental and fun to use still, but experimental nonetheless. So I've racked up a bill of about $2 for using it for about, I would say, 6 to 10 hours. I wasn't really keeping track. But I can just show you an example of it running. Let's use, which one? Give me an Explorer folder, please. Auto-GPT workspace. And actually, we'll write one. We'll write one together instead. Oh yeah, yeah. So just follow these instructions. By the way, there is one more step about renaming the .env.template to .env before putting in your API keys and everything. So just remember that. Git Auto-GPT pasta skip. Okay, so the first task that I tried to give this thing, and again, like I said, we'll write our own, but the first task that I tried to get this thing to do was, I'm not very good with Visual Studio Code, so I won't have much of the keyboard shortcuts memorized. But what I tried to have it do was go to my playlist for this video series, watch the videos, listen to the content, and generate timestamps. So a timestamp would look like, oh, I deleted that already. A timestamp for videos on YouTube's are just the minute colon second space and then the name of that section. And I said that they all need to be at least 10 seconds long, and I just wanted it to summarize all of my videos and mark specific timestamps as it goes through watching the videos for me, so that I can, and then output them to a text file so that I could just go through and copy pasta. And then here is, like, let's say we started at the first one. So let's start at this one. It was having a ton of trouble just even understanding that this page has a video on it that I want you to watch. So this came from a lot of struggling. And then the name of this, right, we can't use this anymore because that's deleted. Yeah, so let's go back here, grab the video name. That kid looks weird. Copy. Manually watch the video titled this. Don't use colons inside of this thingy because it also freaks out when you do that. I think you can do it this way. Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, title this and listen to the content, generate timestamps, write the timestamp to a text file, browse to the next video, repeat the steps. Once you've watched all the videos and generated the text files, then shut down. So you don't need this shutdown step, I don't think. I haven't learned too much about it, but I don't think you need this shutdown step unless you're doing a task that can repeat. So as you can tell, I just updated. I did a git pull, although there's probably another update because this thing is constant. Look at this. This thing is constantly getting updated. Like constantly getting updated. And it is actually pulling, right? Yeah, it is. It's definitely pulling. I was just making sure that it wasn't like stuck because I have some changes. Anyway, so what we can do is run Python scripts main.py. You need Python 3.7 or above installed or something like that. Maybe it's newer now. If you also use this dash dash speak parameter argument thing, which you can't really see because that's covered, and you probably can't see because it's pretty tiny too, and I can't make it bigger. So if you use the dash dash speak and you have the 11 labs API, which is free up to a limit, then you can have it speak back to you as it's completing things. That runs out really fast, and then you start getting this slow speaking voice, and it just gets annoying. So I just kind of stopped using it. So anyway, you write your instructions into this file called AI settings.yaml, or if you don't want to do that, then when you run this, you can just push no to the first question and then type all of this information in manually. Oh, right. Gosh, I'm all over the place. I'm sorry. So we have the goals that we specify to it. We name the thing, and I don't know if it has to be in this order because it asks you for the name first, which makes sense to me. You can name it whatever you want to name it. And then you give it a role. And I think this role is the same thing that you would type into GPT-4, ChatGPT-4. But I'm not sure. But I just wrote this out because Jesse, when he did his, he actually had it a narrative that he gave to it. So I gave it a narrative. And I kind of used his sample that he showed us as a base for this. So anyway, let's run it. The first thing it says is because I see the YAML file and I see that there's something named one lion YouTube assistant or YT assistant, do you want to continue using that? And it's like, I'm not really continuing, I'm starting it over, but sure. Why not? And I did tell this thing to use the current workspaces. Oh, I don't want to use the workspaces output folder. So I will show you what happens when you push no. It says enter the name of your AI and its role below, and then you're pretty much filling all of this information out in the console. But I want this to use the folder called YouTube help. Hebel. If the folder doesn't exist, create it. Okay, try that again. And so now it's going to read in the same file, but this time it's going to use the new information that I gave it. So I push yes, and it's like, okay, I will read that in, I'll understand it, and then I'll tell you what I understood. And that's what it's doing now. It usually doesn't take this long. There it goes. It's like, here's what I understood of the steps. I want to browse to the first video on the playlist, watch the video, take notes, write the timestamps to a text file, move to the next video, repeat the steps once all videos have been watched, shut down. So this is the part that you want to pay attention to, is this is your AI that is using GPT for you. That's why this is called Auto-GPT. So your AI that's running on GPT is using GPT to get responses. What? And so this first thing might have questions in it. And if it asks you a question, then instead of just typing Y down here, you would want to answer the question. That's one thing that I've learned about it. You can have it in like this auto mode where you're constantly pushing Y and then it's just supposed to guess what it's supposed to do. But I found that it goes in a loop if it asks a question and you don't actually answer the question. So you're just kind of wasting your units. You're accruing money for doing nothing, accruing fees for doing nothing. Which, I mean, it's kind of doing nothing for me at the moment, but that's fine. I'm showing you, and that's what matters. So I'll start by browsing video, taking notes. Once completed, I will move to the next video's process. There are no questions here, and what it wants to do is use this built-in command called browse website, and it wants to go to the website that I told it to go to. It doesn't have any questions because it knows which video it's supposed to watch for now, but watch what happens. None cannot answer any questions as it is a simple standalone word. It didn't ask me any questions, so it doesn't know what to do with this. So like what it wants to do is go to a website, ask that website a question by parsing the content in that website and then getting an answer back. So what it really meant to ask me is, what video should I be watching? Because right now, the only thing that it does is it reads the links that are in there. Who owns the video? And it's like, no, don't do any of that. Okay, but anyway, it's saying that it did open the video on YouTube that it needs to watch. It'll listen to the video, take notes for timestamps and a brief summary. And then it also tells you why it's doing it, by the way. I like that. And the cool thing about this is that it is very logical. So this all sounds important. Like it knows that it's supposed to be doing this task that I told it to do. Let's see what happens. So this do nothing, it's not actually doing nothing. It's performing the steps that it said it's going to do. I think they should rename that to run command. We'll get to that, Marcus. Oh, we will get to that. So Marcus was asking, does it watch the videos in real time or faster? So I will now write down the timestamp for 000 and a brief summary of the countdown intro before the actual programming content in the text into the text file. And so it wants to write to the file some content. And then it's going to say what it's going to do for the rest of it. Hi, GokuJax. So we're going to say, go ahead, do that. And here's the cool thing. It has this workspace. So if you're ever wondering where it's saving files, it's going to save to Auto-GPT workspace inside of the directory where your Git repo was cloned to. But the thing that you'll need to pay attention to is that everything gets stuffed into that folder. And if you don't tell it to use a subdirectory, then it'll put all of your files in that folder. But here we have the new file. It didn't create a new folder, you jerk. And that file has the first timestamp, 0, countdown, intro discussing, and then it wrote this summary here. And it's like, where did you get that summary from? This is what the countdown timer looks like for that video. This is also what it sounds like, which you can't hear anything, right? Because it's completely quiet. There's no talking, there's no content there except for a countdown timer. So that's one thing. Keep that in mind. All right, so now it's saying, now that the intro and countdown are done, I will listen for the first important step, that one lion takes in the video. Timestamps are going to be created to highlight the major steps, identifying the logical stuff. So it's going to listen to the video to do that. And we want it to do that. We're like, hey, yes, please do. So it's listening to the video. And so the first thing apparently that I discussed was steps involved in developing a custom IEnumerable. Seems like the perfect time to create a timestamp to highlight the important area for coders. CodeStar can easily get lost while trying to figure out the ins and outs of building custom IEnumerables. Who in the world is CodeStar? Piecing custom IEnumerables together with LINQ can be tricky, so timestamping it should assist with finding the right portion of the video to help with their own project iterations. Yeah, that's a good idea. Just wondering though, when did he talk about developing a custom IEnumerable again? So you're not going to hear this because I don't have the sound coming through the stream, but I will. Oh, thank you for reminding me that one line. I would like some water. I have your back is what I'm talking about. So let's get through the rest of the intro. These are my timestamps, by the way. The very first thing that we talk about is creating a document to come up with the project idea and brainstorming. Maybe later on in the video, I talk about creating a custom IEnumerable. Nope, I never do. The next thing that I talked about was implementing interfaces in the context of the current project. Yeah, we didn't do any coding. So we didn't do that. And you can also notice that it's no longer writing out the stuff that it's finding, even though I told it to constantly keep it updated. And so if I told it to do something like write out the current timestamps you've created, append it to the financial management tracker day 1.txt file in the current workspace. You kind of got to be explicit about this too. Then it's going to be like, I'm broken. Why in the world would you confuse me? There it goes. So it understood me, but then the JSON object that it uses for the command completely broke. But if you push Y a few times, sometimes it gets back and is able to complete the task. But right now, this is the only timestamp that it created. Even though it says up here that it's capturing all of these other timestamps. And so here it goes. Now it's going to overwrite the file. Instead of appending, it's using write to file. So what I like to do when it gets to this step is I allow it to write the file. Which it doesn't look like it actually wrote the file. Excuse me. Where are you expanded? There. Okay, so it did write the file. No. And the thing that I actually copied was the wrong thing. So anyway, and then I just append it myself. So it's like, hey, cool, look at this. We have two things that I discussed. Introduction and discussion of the project, including the workflow and functionality of the financial management tracker. application. Wait, that one is correct. Except that we didn't start that until the 11-minute mark. But anyway, the point that I'm trying to get to is that this thing isn't watching the video at all. Or if it is watching the video, what it's doing is still just it generated, here are the most likely timestamps that you would have in a video titled this. So I'm just going to output a whole bunch of timestamps that make sense. So one thing that we could do, just to let this thing do what it does, is let it iterate 5 times in a row on its own without needing my input. And right now that's what Jesse is doing on his YouTube channel. He's just letting it run. It's really cool to watch. He's like finishing up nope, this one he's writing blogs about prompt engineering. Okay. Yes, do that. Oh, it is doing it. So it's creating the YouTube help folder. And notice that the JSON is starting to break. The JSON is like the new line character is getting printed out as a literal. And then this gets worse where you get multiple backslashes to escape the backslash, and then it prints those out. So it's really only treating this as one step, and it's just doing weird stuff. And now suddenly it switched to, oh, it was just looking through that folder to make sure that the folder doesn't exist. My bad. These are when I was trying to have it help me create a website as an expert UI UX designer. And that failed. Okay, after 5 steps, we got no actual output, so nothing was done that we can observe. And so now it just looks like it's going to try to add more timestamps, how to install the required software. We never went over that. I'm just like, use Visual Studio. And the reason that it thinks that I said this is because often when coders start new projects, it's like, no, I didn't. I didn't. You're lying to me. But yeah, none of these are actually writing out files anymore. So one trick that I did pick up from Jesse's stuff, yeah, save it, may as well, was that he has a statement in his that usually says something like output everything to text files, don't delete nor overwrite anything. And it's like that could work. We could try it real quick. Oops. But the point is, no matter how much I tell it to do this, it's not actually going to watch my video and summarize it for me. So maybe what we should try to tell it to do is to write a console application that watches a video, and, listens to its content, and summarizes it. Maybe it would do better at that. Oh, I think it was asking. Were you asking me which video to watch? Yeah, and now it's like, I need the direct link. The direct link to the video I want you to watch is... No! I meant to right click. I use Control V in a console. But yeah, every time that you type something new into the input, it's like, I'm broken. I don't know what to do with that. Yes, do that. And then again, it's like, I need a link to the video. So eventually it's going to be like, I need to use Google to find your videos because that'll just make it easier. It's like, I'm giving you the link directly to the video. And here it's trying to use YouTube search, even though I don't think this is a real address. Oh, it is. You can do that. Well, then do it. See what happens. See if I care. And then the text does not produce anything that I can use. Just, oh man. You don't need to modify your keywords. The URL is blah. Right click. And the name of the video to watch is blah. Do the thing. So much for computers not forgetting anything. Yeah, and I don't know if it would perform any better. There's this online cloud memory store thing called Pinecone, and you can provide it with a Pinecone key, and it's supposed to be able to use that for its memory cache. But right now it's just using local memory cache, and I'm okay with that, but I just don't know if it maybe has a longer memory if you use Pinecone or. But it also seems like Pinecone is one of those limited number of requests type of things too. This video, this is the answer. Great, let's get started. Timestamp for the video, 0. Countdown to the start of the video. Yes, that is true. Because I told you that that's true in my discussion down here that says I always start with an intro countdown and the intro. So those should be 0 and however long after that. Okay, so this is what it's going to do next. And again, the JSON is currently broken. It's not parsing it correctly, but at least it tells us what it wants to do. Hello, Meow GPT. What do you know? Talking about this attracts some people with GPT in their name. So I'm just playing around with Auto-GPT. Today is community day, but I am still interested in doing some of our actual stream project. But I thought that this was really cool. I was watching a YouTube, I guess he's a streamer, a YouTube personality named Jesse Weigel, and he's been doing this for a while now, just trying to keep up with it. So I'm just messing around, and we're instructing it to go through my YouTube videos and create timestamps for them. And it's not actually doing anything. It's not watching the videos or creating timestamps based off of the content of the videos, even though it says it is. And then it's not actually writing it out to files that I told it to. Like, it wrote this file once, but it's not what I was doing in the video that it's supposed to be watching and listening to. But yeah, every single time that I push yes to this, I'm assuming it's doing a whole bunch of ChatGPT queries, because one of the other things that I know that ChatGPT is good at is reading information, not that one. I don't really want to show this because it's got a lot of my a lot of my ideas for my story. But anyway, reading information and deriving concepts and other information from it. So, for example, this fragmented story file has all of our partial story ideas in an unorganized way. We started going through and categorizing them. And so I told it to read that file and then keep the information in mind while I ask it questions and we start going through creating a story together. And it keeps telling me that it can't do it because there are 41,000 tokens, which exceeds the 8,100 and however many tokens that you're allowed to use. And that makes me assume that it's writing this out to ChatGPT, trying to get ChatGPT to remember all this stuff for that session, and it's exceeding the total token count that ChatGPT allows. Yeah, so maybe it does need to make a transcript. And I can do that too. Like I have Descript, which will do the transcripts for me. I don't even know what that means, Meow GPT. Using Turbo. I'm using whatever it told me to use. I switched from using GPT-4 because it kept trying to do execute script or something like that, and it kept failing. And that's because it's a limitation on GPT-4. But yeah, let me go ahead and get Community Day actually started now. Sounds like LiveCoding is already ready already. So let me hop into the stream room, get my virtual camera started. And here he is, everyone. Peter.
All right.
He wasn't ready for
Hello.
it.
So I found out uh it's humbling, when you're like, oh, those other people who can't use a computer. And
Like me.
then basically anyway, so apologies for last week. I feel bad, but I feel okay enough to say I feel bad. If I felt really bad, I
What
wouldn't.
happened last week?
I basically didn't know what the mute button was. In my
Oh,
def
the burping.
in my make
Not
noises
even an
before. Like, look,
issue.
I was going at it. I was going to town on that drink, and I thought I was muted, and I was not. So we all learn. Live, laugh, love, as they say. I think that was Abraham Lincoln. Was
It needs to
definitely
create a new GitHub repository to store the timestamp and summary text files. And I said, yes, do it.
where are we at.
So I don't know if you were actually listening to any of this. I
No,
was just playing with
I just got here.
Auto-GPT
Yeah,
because one of my mentors, I'm going to call him my mentor. I hope
sure,
he's
sure.
okay with me calling him that. But Jesse Weigel, I used to watch him do live coding streams on the YouTubes in 2017 specifically.
Dang.
Those were the days. Um, and so he started streaming again, but the only thing that he's doing is just allowing this Auto GPT thing to do what it does with his prompt. And it was just kind of fun to watch, and I figured I'd try it out myself. And I wanted to show it too, in case anyone wants to try it out and get it to work correctly,
Yeah.
the right way.
He-
But that's
Tyron missed the alert. I don't know what the alert is.
there is no alert. Oh, unless
There.
you have it turned on in Twitch. But the Discord, um,
Oh, stream started alert. Yeah.
yeah, Discord doesn't do the alert anymore. The Discord
Look,
bot.
this is the joke. The bot has 3 nines of uptime. It just starts with the first nine is 9%. It's 9.99% uptime.
Oh man,
There you go. That's hater talk. Look,
I
no
love it.
one like I'm surprised anyone can run bots without spending a lot of money. So,
Yeah, seriously. Like
uh,
I mentioned that I've been running this for about a maximum of 10 hours playing with it. And I'm at like $2 and well, I can't tell you, can I? Platform to OpenAI. Billing usage. Usage. I am so in what we were just doing, I accumulated 30 cents.
Oh, yeah, that adds up real quick.
Yeah. And I have a hard limit on it of $5 because I'm like, I don't really want to use this for anything at the moment. I'm just playing with it and I don't want to spend a lot of money.
Marcus is I cognitive services as their old stuff. You got to be careful with Azure because they will keep everything the same. Their existing services that people are relying on will stay the same. So yeah, be careful. I don't unless it has the word OpenAI, I wouldn't or was introduced this month. Like it's going to be their old stuff. One of my friends was saying he needs to get into Azure ML, and I was like, no, you don't. They're going to change it whenever the OpenAI stuff comes in. Whenever they integrate OpenAI, which they have, it's called Azure OpenAI, but you know what I'm saying. Whenever
Yep.
I just I'm just telling y'all, just watch out. Cognitive services might get retrofitted with the new stuff, or it might just be the old stuff that was unexciting,
Yeah,
uninspiring.
there was another one called oh, oh. Come back to me on that. Keep talking.
Nope. I
He said nope.
nope. I'm not good at the rambling. I am curious. Well, I'm. Maybe we should just like make day about all this GPT stuff because it is like
Yeah,
honestly
certainly.
like really useful right now. Like this is a rare moment of time. I think the last time we had a thing like this in tech was the iPhone app craze.
True.
And that's why I told people the takeaway is to somehow make a fart app with this GPT stuff because the fart app people like they didn't become billionaires or maybe even millionaires, but they invested zero effort and they made out pretty okay.
Right. Yeah. And that's the
So
point of all of it is the unbalanced how much effort you put into what the payout is.
so um oh man, Marcus. Yeah, that sounds awful.
Right.
Writing out text. Was that the basic programs, Marcus? Because
Yeah,
I've typed some basic
yeah.
programs. I'm old enough. I've
Absolutely.
t-
Like you have that Commodore 64 book that's like this thick.
yeah,
I'm sure my dad still has a copy of it. Keeps everything.
yeah. It's kind of crazy to think that these tiny USB drives that we have that are from like 15 years ago are just like only 16 gigabytes of storage.
Which is still
No.
more than
Yeah.
200 computers from that era.
Yep. Pretty nuts. Because yeah, the writing out programs, like I remember those you were talking about those giant basic books, like they had programs written out in them. I think I saw a recipe program that you could enter your recipes. I mean, who knows if anyone ever used these, but people typed them out, and it was probably cheaper to send those, well, definitely more reliable to send those books out than floppies back in the day. I
Yeah.
guess Commodore 64s had cartridges too,
Yep. Mhm.
so.
And tapes.
Oh yeah, and Marcus and the ones, and it's not like they said, "Oh, let's choose a distinctive font where the ones and zeros and I's and L's are distinct." They probably just picked whatever font was monospace, maybe, and printed it. And good luck. Because if you didn't know what you were doing, which is still the case, then you would have no idea. Of course, syntax highlighting and language server protocol wasn't so much of a thing, so you didn't get the squigglies. Good times. So I'm filibustering. Chat, do you have any burning questions? Um, what happened on the Discord? I'm just going to
Days
recap
in
what happened.
Discord. Wait, what?
Prog testing said something about reinstalling Visual Studio to get his Maui app. Is it Maui or Blazor? I couldn't
Wait,
remember.
when?
This was this week. He's been struggling with like doing various things to get I think he's the last. Yeah, I'm just reading the last message in codehelp.net. So he reinstalled VS and now it works. This is a fresh WebAssembly project standalone. That blows my mind. Like I've been so pleased that we've moved away from Visual Studio dependencies, and his statement makes me very sad that reinstalling Visual Studio installed some dependency you can't see. I actually really like the transparency, or the, how do I say this, where you can just say .NET install SDK, and then if it's not there, it'll be, they just don't have all these extra SDKs you have to add to
Right.
.NET. They're usually doing it as NuGet packages now. That makes me very pleased. But I guess with these semi-native apps, they're not. I don't know, man. Just I don't like going back to the old days. Like, look, everyone secretly ran Visual Studio on their build agent, and everyone just built with Visual Studio. And we didn't even know how to build with just MS Build. They didn't
Right.
introduce Visual Studio build tools until, like, was it 2015 or 2017? Like, you couldn't
I'm
even
not gonna
install the
remember.
build tools. Like, let's just say 10ish years ago, you couldn't just install the build tools. So it's so much nicer now that you can just do .NET. Just install the SDK and it's all there, just like every other language, honestly. So what else? I'm gonna filibuster on the code help. Nope.
Yeah, because I'm still looking for the name of the Microsoft service that is not Azure Cognitive that I think is replacing it already. So you were stating something like, don't
Oh
use it
yeah.
because it'll most likely get replaced, but I don't know if it's going to. But
They'll announce a retrofitting if they do that, but I
yeah.
doubt, for consistency, I doubt they'll change the default behavior. And so I would just hold off. But, do what you want, enjoy. I don't see cognitive services as a fun thing to learn. So I'm bringing my bias to that statement where, yeah, I don't see it as anything I would ever want to touch. Kind of like iPhone development. Like, some people have jobs where they do iPhone or worse Android development, and I'm just happy I'm not one of them. I had an Ionic project that was existing. All I had to do was survive it. And we all struggled with that Ionic project. Man. Anyway, good times. Um, what else we got? DC Aggie asked about talking down people from forcing him to use stored
Right.
procedures.
Yeah, we had a conversation about that on Wednesday, which was good. But you did provide a response if you want to say that out loud.
Nah. Well, see, I gotta like, it's whatever. Like, have you ever? How do I say this? Like, I tried to be very clear. Like, there are benefits, but you can usually talk them down. Like, there's benefits to everything. It's just some of them really don't matter. So that's kind of the summary. So if they say we need stored procedure for security reasons, you're like, do you really? You know,
It's
do
like
you
we can get the
really?
same kind. And here's what happened though. I was like, you can get a similar amount of security using entity framework because you are essentially using parameterized queries. They're just
Uh,
using objects instead of raw SQL. But he's like, we're using Dapper. And I'm like, oh,
you know,
okay. I mean, it's still kind of the same thing. You're going to write a SQL statement. It's just that he wants direct access to the
yeah.
tables, which means being put into a different or given a different responsibility for the profile that's using the server.
Mhm.
And then they were going to create a new schema for that too. They would need to create a new schema and put all the tables in it because it's Oracle. And schema doesn't really mean the same thing that it does in Microsoft SQL.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds awful.
Yeah.
Uh, so be it.
Yeah,
Stored
they used
procedures
to be
used to
the
be the
only
only
way.
way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think, Marcus, my whole take on that, like, and this is kind of with the rest of the points, is the devs used to be untrusted, there probably was reasons for that, of course, that were legitimate. And we're just so much better at getting feedback. You can run these databases locally, you can like I always had a bunch of seed data that would make pretty realistic stuff. Like testing, let me say this very clearly.
Yeah.
Like I could test all database logic, but testing like paging would get a little tricky because you
Right.
had to load like, hey, we have 1,000
Thousands.
items on a page. And you're like,
Yeah.
well, I guess I'm loading 1,001 items in seed data. That's a little tough. And I did it. Those would
Yeah.
get a little trickier. I'd have to have a parameter to like lower the page size or something
Right.
crazy for testing. Anyway, um, yeah,
Yeah.
see,
Oh man.
Marcus, yeah, that's the deal. Oracle, like, yeah.
I mean, I would just say like DBAs are great and all, but
Yes.
they're definitely the I control the structure, I
Yeah.
control the what goes
Yeah.
into the database, how it gets there, how it gets out. We had one that it took like a week just to add, what even was that? It was like it was to change a column. No, no, that's what it was. It was modifying a stored procedure to output one extra field.
Ooh, so basically nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
basically
didn't
nothing.
even modify the structure of the database. We were just asking for a stored procedure to be updated so that it returned different things. They're like, nope.
Yeah, and we're going farther
Can't do
nowadays, and I'm currently of the model of we're a small team and I'm going to block deployments until I'm ready.
it.
So I am that guy. I kind of understand it, depending on anyway. But how do I say this? I understand.
Carefully.
I understand their point. Meanwhile, get out of the way, DBAs, and
Yeah.
get out of the way, me. My lead developer, he does a lot of YAML. He just added a bunch of stuff to our Helm chart by himself. I was like, sweet, good. I don't have to touch it.
My lead
You know.
developer is doing a lot of stuff.
Hmm.
He's doing a million billion things to improve the startup time of the app, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is moving everything over to .NET 7, which is not part of our current release plan. And so there's a lot of things that he's just kind of taking on himself because it's the right thing to do to solve the issue that he is
Mm-hmm.
working on, but it is not really part of our current iteration.
Hard to justify to your,
Yeah,
uh,
to the client.
yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. This is
But the actual speed up is like you can notice it.
you can notice it.
Unfortunately, he has a PR that's like when we have to do these PRs, because I think I told you the back end stuff, we still need to, like, whenever there's a change to it in a branch that's corresponding to the front end, they both have to be done at the same time, or to the core application, I should call it. They have to be done at the same time. So to actually test 79 files being changed with X number of changes, the way I do it is I get check out that branch, install it on my machine, run it, make sure that all of the tests and stuff are not broken, and it doesn't take a
And
it takes
deploy,
a long
I
time.
think.
Yeah, seriously, it takes a
Quote
long time
deploy.
just to do that part.
Mm.
And he did like two PRs in rapid succession essentially that had that many changes, and it's like I'm in the middle of working on my thing and you want me to review these changes. But this most recent one, like I couldn't even build the back end, and it's like, how are you even doing a PR for this when it doesn't build?
That, yeah, that's why you gotta not let it through.
Yeah.
It's tough. But I, I'm also sympathetic for people who tend to break a lot of things to fix them because they actually, as long as they finally fix them,
I'm doing
even if they only fix 95% of the things they break, like I'm still pretty happy. Like there'll be a few things I notice that they broke or that show up in production. But on the whole, like I'm pretty happy with that. Like if someone upgraded to .NET 7, I would be pretty pumped.
yes.
Or, fix startup time especially. That would be a, you know,
Mm-hmm. And it
I'd put up
is
with a lot of that.
very noticeable too. It's like a really, really good improvement that I Hope we get to keep without it being broken and don't have to roll back because
Good times.
no one up the chain agreed to .NET 7.
Yeah, but yeah. This is the old argument about unit tests when they're like, they tell us not to do unit tests, and they're like, why are you asking them? Why are you asking them ever about whether you're writing unit tests or not? Don't ask them.
Write the
It's
damn
not their
unit
business.
tests.
Yeah. Whether you do or don't is, I don't
Typically.
even know. And yeah, Mark is saying working alone, you know who did it.
Yes.
That's,
Oh my goodness, yes.
yeah.
One day I will be in that boat where the only one I can blame is me.
Mm.
Don't get me wrong, I enjoy the experience of working on a team. I've learned a lot, but I'm already tired of it. Hmm.
Uh, and it might just be this team too. Like I think
It
it's
might
always
just be this
very
team.
different.
Like the one that I told you about, he's an ENTJ, which means that he'll lead with this, here's a problem and it needs to be fixed. And here's the logical way of fixing it. And then he'll do the future thinking kind of step. Like he will purposefully be thinking about how can I do the future step? How can I make this work in the future by fixing this immediate problem? And these are the problems that I need to fix. And I'm an INTJ, which is here's a problem that is immediate, and I'm going to work on that thing because it was identified as an issue. And as I'm working on it, it's going to naturally be some way that'll also accommodate future changes. So it's the difference between, oh, sorry, I said that wrong. ENTJ, here's a future problem that I need to use TE to fix now. That's what it was. And then I'm like, here is a current problem that I'm going to fix so that it's robust and works in the future too and solves future problems. Anyway, so it's kind of hard for me to understand how he chooses the things that he is working on when it's like we have these immediate things that we need to get taken care of.
Yeah.
And I know we want to improve the app for the future, but we need to take care of these things now. And he's like, well, in the future, we're going to need these things, so we should do this now. It's like, oh.
You're a DUKA. Nice. That's good. Same.
Tyrant's an ENTJ. Yeah, tell me if I'm like completely wrong if that's not how you operate, Tyrant, but that's the gist that I get. Here is this thing in the future that I foresee, and so I'm going to do these things now. Versus mine, which is here are these things now, and as I'm working on them, they're going to affect the future in this way.
Thank you. Still haven't done Bang 2, which I'm not sure what Bang 2 does, but Bang 2 does something. Maybe it points to Bang 3 or at references.
Deprecated.
Oh, thank you. Is that what I said? All right, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I was actually for about 10 seconds trying to help you with the app. That's what came of that. Bang 3
Right.
was us talking through the bot redemptions, and that was almost doing productive work in the sense of productive being whatever.
Almost. I mean,
By
we
the
have a
way,
design for doing that now. That's
oh,
about
okay, yeah.
it.
Yeah, we were talking about that. We pretty yeah, I've never thought about that kind of stuff. I just think about like highest priority.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, yeah. So you have this kind of list of priorities.
yeah. I can't remember. Like I'm not self-reflective. I can't remember what I was thinking probably 2 years ago. Like what was normal for me? Like I don't know. So I existed probably.
I agree, Tyron, 100%. So even though you have a personality type, that doesn't mean that you will always operate the way that every other person in that personality type will operate, especially because there are more pieces than just the Myers Briggs thing, but also maturity, but also growth, and yeah. So yes, I agree with you. But Tyron is saying that that is maybe what he used to do, and now he kind of does. He can see it from both sides, or multiple sides, I should say, because there's more than just two.
Do what you feel like doing, Marcus. Hopefully that's, the prior, you know,
Yeah, a to-do
roughly in
list.
priority order.
You
Because,
do, yeah. Well, like you look at your to-do list and it's like, this looks like something I feel like doing today.
huh. And yeah, I'll just say I'm busy enough. And of course, I'm taking off today. So y'all don't know that, but whatever. I'm taking
Yeah,
off today.
of course
Of
you
course, y'all knew. Of course, y'all knew.
are.
You've seen my out of office. But yeah, I take off. But our backlog is so massive that
um,
uh, it's mostly existential threat level things. Anyway, things that must be done immediately. I'm trying to think I literally deleted allegedly. This is great. Y'all don't know where I work. This is great. You can find it on LinkedIn probably. Anyway, um, I deleted rows from a database so we wouldn't hit 100% capacity. We grew 5% over the last 30 days from 90 to 96%. And this morning, so I could feel better about the weekend, I deleted 1% of the data carefully.
yeah. It's like, how
We
exactly do you carefully delete data?
we identified a table that basically doesn't matter, but we just never wrote code. And I was a developer on this project. We never wrote code to delete rows from one of these tables, and it turned out it had like 20 million rows or something.
Yeah.
So, uh, yeah, you wipe out all those rows, and they just keep adding new rows, and it doesn't matter. It's like a
For a table.
we are deleting data to manage scale, and we pinged our boss like, boss, I know you don't want to pay literally $5,000 a month to scale up that database, but you got to do something. We don't have time to fix it either. And by we, I
Tyron
mean
has a
other
good
people.
question for you.
Yeah, scale. Oh, what we call
Deletion
it?
scale.
Yeah, right sizing. We call it right
Right
sizing. That's a very
sizing.
2023 word. No, it isn't. They stopped using that word a long time ago. But we performed we let
Oh,
some of our
compressing.
data go.
Yeah.
We said farewell to some of our data today. So
Yeah.
I'm trying
That
to, I'm trying, you got to find the memos that they announced all the layoffs, and you just got to use that terminology. We said goodbye to some friends today. They did
which
great
is
work
right
for
sizing
us.
now. Yeah.
Yeah,
No
basically,
such thing as downsizing because that's just too negative of a term.
yeah. Anyway, I will not spill further beans, but in summary, we are at semi-existential level, but as long as it's not immediate, I can take a vacation day, feel pretty good about it.
Mm.
Take a lot of them, feel pretty good about it. Anyway,
Yeah,
uh,
we have RMA has some tables. The place I used to work has some tables that are when you import a file, it stores the data in the table and then uses stored procedures to move that data from that temporary table into permanent storage, but it never deletes the temporary data. So it's a similar situation for that table, where you can
yeah,
safely delete the records from it, and it'll just get new records.
yo, Marcus, I've seen the slider. I have looked at that slider, and the slider moving it one notch to the right. Actually, it's another SKU up. We're in the middle SKU right now, and there's a more expensive SKU, and moving it to the more expensive SKU takes us allegedly from $2,000 a month to seven. So it's a
A month.
cloud databases cost some money. I'll tell you,
Yeah.
cloud everything costs some money.
Oh
It
my
makes you
goodness.
think like if they actually get a simple hosting model. And I'm not paying it, Marcus. That's not. Yeah, I'm not paying it. But it's enough for us to notice. We're not a giant company. $5,000 a month is I don't.
Yeah, still noticeable.
Anyway, it's noticeable in a month. It's noticeable. Uh, Anyway, so that's why we don't want to push the button, but we don't want to migrate out half the data that we shouldn't have added there in the first place. By the way, this is half of this data was me migrating away from Cosmos DB, which was even more expensive. So when I say Cosmos is expensive and it has gotten better, like I have lived it. This
Yeah,
database
yeah, yeah.
is half filled with stuff that we used to host on Cosmos and cost even more in Cosmos
Insane.
for half of it.
So now that you're saying that, though,
Yeah,
I had discussions with
yeah.
the people that I used to work with. Not the people that I used to work with, but someone that they're having work on coming up with solutions for the systems I left behind. I'll say it that way.
That you
And
abandoned. How
yeah,
could you?
not on purpose. Well, kind of on purpose, but you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
on purpose. Yeah, that's true.
So they were trying
Not
to
with
find
malice.
out, are there ways to do any of the things with off the shelf products? And so we have a document management system. They have
Yeah.
a document management system. And it's essentially just here's a whole bunch of PDFs in a repository, in a file repository that gets scanned, indexed so that they're searchable. And then here are database records related to those. That's the simplest way to put it. Um, the application has some report generating features, but that's about it. So he was thinking for these over 2 million documents now, I think.
Whew.
Anyway, at least 700,000 documents, 200,000 documents in the main database, I should say. Let's just say 200,000 documents. Let's move them into SharePoint because they'll get indexed there. They'll be available. You can search them and then use something that's not SharePoint lists for the metadata that's stored in the databases. And then I showed them the database structure and how all of the documents were put together. And it's like, I don't think we can use this approach for it. But he was trying to use stuff like Power Builder for the report generating stuff.
Yeah,
And I'm like, that would be cool. You
if
have
it
access to
works.
the database, you have access to the documents. Yeah. But here's the query that you would need to run. Here's a view. So you can create a whole bunch of views in the database, but there's just a whole bunch of stuff that's so custom that they would have to revamp the entire system, and the redesign would cost more than just making that system better, kind of thing.
Build versus buy.
Yeah,
Classic. And by the way, I've worked with SharePoint, and you'd better look at that document limit.
right, exactly. And I was like,
Oof.
so I don't know if you think this is maybe like a couple thousand documents,
Yeah.
but we're like the total number of records across all of the databases, which should match up closely to the total number of PDFs, was over 2 million.
Oof. Got a few more than two documents, more than
Yeah.
three. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Yeah. I
Plus, it's hosted on AWS. Sorry.
I'm curious because yeah, there's a ton. Everyone has solutions. There's the old guard of solutions, like IBM sells a product that I vaguely remember. That like everyone sells document management systems, but hopefully you find a cheaper one that does most of what you need. Uh,
Like,
yeah,
I don't know if you remember that one though. It
or they
was
just rebuild it in .NET. Who cares? It's not that hard.
I mean, it doesn't need to be rebuilt.
Oh, it's
It exists.
okay.
So that's the thing. They have an existing application written in Blazor
Yeah,
that is the document management system, and it has the different roles and the different things that are specific to the Rocky Mountain Arsenal. And so apparently there are functionality things that are not working still that I didn't get around to being able to fix before I left.
yeah. They need to fix it instead of buying.
Yeah. And it's like
Yep.
this entire system is complete. It functions, the web app functions as expected. We just need to find out what those issues are and correct them.
And that I yeah. This is where they ask if they're like, do we actually want to have a team of developers? And I think your guy is saying like, could we make this work without a team of developers? Did
Yeah, you
they?
could
They have
have
no
one
one, right?
developer. They have no one. They have a
Yeah,
corporate person that is shared throughout multiple contracts
yeah,
and projects.
yeah.
And
Tough.
he's the one that talked to me, and he doesn't know. He's
Yeah,
able to understand Blazor,
yeah, yeah,
but he doesn't currently have that knowledge.
yeah. It's a tough job. It's tough to just,
But I know
here's
someone that
5%
does.
of your time. Here's 5% of your time to use to learn this new ecosystem. 10 months, I told clients I could no longer work on their projects. I now have, I'm reading that. Told me I could no longer work on your client projects. You have all your clients back. So they just begged for you
Except for
back,
one.
Marcus? Is
Yeah.
that the deal? When you left full time, I would assume you would have no clients. That's where I'm confused. Did you
And I'm not
start?
saying this out loud or
Yeah.
anything, but I mean, I'm kind of
Uh-oh.
getting begged also.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, that's natural. That's
And
why
things may
that's why
change
they
in the
put those
future.
non-competes that are maybe not enforceable, but kind of are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, always got a non-compete in those contracts. All right. Just got back from lunch.
Hey, T. Williams.
So
Just got back from vacation, he says.
I don't get that. Is
Tell
this
the cashier at McDonald's. Sorry. Wait.
yeah, that sounds
I didn't think
depressing.
I was fat until the cashier at McDonald's said, sorry about your weight. WAIT.
Sorry about the wait.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay. That's hilarious.
You just dropped that one.
Yeah,
You-
it's hilarious. No, I don't get it. Sometimes I'm dense and I just don't get things. All right. What do we have?
And Marcus,
Marcus.
for me, they just can't find anyone that's willing to do the work at the expense that they're trying to, not expense, what's the word I'm looking for? Price,
Rate.
essentially, the
Yeah,
rate
price.
that they are offering or wanting it.
Yeah.
Because I was working for peanuts when I was over there.
Yep.
I mean, it's overall, like, if you go all the way up the chain, it's an army contract, and the only thing that army cares about is what's lowest bid.
Yeah.
How can we do this for the cheapest? And you're gonna get not good work at that rate. Even though I put in my best work, it was just a lot of work. Anyway, moving on.
So you're saying DB Context Factory if we have nothing else to talk about.
I mean, we do.
That is the topic. Although I'm the worst person to help you with it. I can
Yeah,
come with a
so
fresh mind.
I take it you made it all the way up to Deflux's issue.
Oh wait. Uh where are we? Non-code help?
I don't know.
Wait. In the Twitch chat? Did he post something?
No. You just happen to mention DB Context Factory, and that's definitely what I'm all for. I just don't know why you mentioned DB Context Factory unless you were looking at his question.
It's in your stream title. Or no, it's in your marquee. The
It
blue
is?
marquee, bottom of the string. Community Day topic,
Oh,
DB Context Factory.
what? When did
The
that turn
ticker.
on?
Thank you, Marcus. I don't have
It's a
words.
marquee. Marquee is right.
No, this is like a stock ticker or a news ticker. Like
Yeah, but the name of the effect is called marquee.
yeah, that's because we're in
Scrolling
HTML.
marquee.
Yeah.
Where even is that? Why is that the current
Why do we need a DB
setting?
context factory like all the time? Whenever you're creating a DB context, right? Like I think when you do a app startup, the real question is, I guess they do that so that you can connect to two different databases separate from each other within the same app. That's why they have DB Context Factory as this single object you deal with,
That's one
so that you
reason.
can. I assume. I don't know. I've been pretty simple. One database per app. Everything knows about
Yeah.
everything.
So if you have one database. So for
Database.
example, I
Yeah.
only have one database in the financial management tracker. If I was running the financial management tracker as a Blazor server,
Mm.
which I can do apps, Blazor server, and instead of dependency injecting a DB context factory, I only injected the DB context directly, and I did my initial lookup list request, which is for each type of lookup list, go to the server, or go to the database, pull the lookup information from the database, and then send it back to me. I do that asynchronously, and they all happen asynchronously. So I have multiple the same DB context. I would have the same DB context open for every single one of those requests, giving me an exception that says you're trying to do multiple requests on the same DB context, and we can't do that. And so I use a DB context to give me a new DB context factory to give me a new DB context if I need it. Otherwise, reuse the existing DB context. Did that
All
make
right, let
sense?
me let me ask it this way because I think
Yes.
I'm getting this. This is good that you have me on the line because I'm going to ask the dumb questions, but I
Oh,
have a
it's
vague
not dumb.
idea. All right, so we have one database. We have probably just one database connection that is being reused. Is that
Yes.
true, or it doesn't even matter, honestly? But like,
Like
let's just say,
if you're just injecting the context, then yes, your statement is true.
but you could use multiple DB connection. Well, let me say this very carefully. Your DB connection to a single database.
I was getting their turn. Go ahead.
Oh goodness. So there's one DB connection roughly. No, well, no. Let's just ignore DB connections. But that was a great diversion. Let's move on. So then you have all the mappings you have built up. And where do those live? Do
In
those
the
live in the DB
context.
context factory? But like you already have them built up. Sometimes, like the old Hibernate days, they used to take a ton of time to build. And so you would want to speed that up as much as possible. They had all these pre-compiling things. But the point is you wouldn't want to do the mapping for every web request, for example. So where does that live? Does that live like where do you define your mappings? Let me ask it
Not
that way.
exactly sure I understand that because with Entity Framework, your
Yeah.
mappings are your entities, the actual models that you're using for
Um,
the data. And so
so
there
maybe
is no setup of the mappings because your schema essentially for a given table is already defined in C sharp as
yeah,
a DB
kind of.
set. And
Kind of.
so when
Where
you're
do you
saying,
define like which columns are ignored and stuff? Is that
okay,
just attribute?
on
This thing,
wait,
okay.
say that again. Say that again.
Attributes that are ignored, or properties that are ignored.
Yeah, okay. So there's two ways you have attributes, like you were about to say, and this is called Fluent API.
Okay. Yeah, the float. Yep. So this is
And
a
so,
model builder
yeah.
thing,
So
and
I
we just
don't know when this is called. I don't know if it's only called once when you create a DB context factory and then it just, yeah, I don't know. I don't
I
know
would
when the life
assume
cycle
if
is
you
yet.
were to quote separate out, like if you said, here's a bunch of mappings that connects to database A, here's a bunch of mappings that connect to database B. I assume they're stored in different stuff, but neither of us know, so it doesn't matter that much.
Well,
Actually,
I
I see
think
it
what you're
says
saying though
find
is if you
nmd
have two,
context.
yeah, if you have two different databases, you have two different contexts.
Okay, yep, definitely. Okay, and so this helps me understand. So somewhere deep in the bowels of that DB context-based class, or maybe somewhere else, but probably here, it is storing a representation of all those mappings.
Right.
And when I say a representation, I mean so that it can convert a link thing to a query.
Yeah, but that itself could just be a set of instructions for how to take an entity and turn it into SQL and
Yep.
vice versa. So it might
I'm,
not necessarily be creating those SQL statements for us
oh yeah,
at
yeah,
compile time.
definitely. Yeah, I'm staying super vague because of course I know absolutely none of this. All right. Marcus says you have a database pool with a set number of connections that can be reused. Yep. A connection pool.
In a data table object.
Dynamic data, so you wouldn't know the schema in advance. Sounds awesome. That's a joke. It's called MongoDB. No SQL.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, now there are JSON fields that can do that. system.
Tyron says,
So
yeah,
Tyron brought up the second point, the second major point that
yeah.
is good for DB context, factory over just passing in the context. In the service, oh yeah, this service here, I'm doing, this is probably a bad example, but I would do a whole bunch of, oh, wait. Let's go with this one. I would do a whole bunch of validation to models before even doing any database operations. And so that means that if my model is not valid, I might not necessarily need a DB context. But if you're doing something like a call to an API, then you would be getting a new DB context every time because you're getting a new service, transaction service, for example, every time. And so every time you new this up, you get a new context right away when you might not even be using that context. And so if you have millions of people connecting to the server, then you're creating millions of DB contexts when not all of them are used. And so DB Context Factory allows you to create a DB context only when it's
On
used
demand.
on demand.
Mm.
So the two
By the way,
main points are reusing the same context for multiple requests, bad, and then creating a new context every single time you do an API request, for example, bad. The end. Go ahead.
no, that's good. Oh, this is fancy doing the transaction. All right. Yep. So, um,
I mean, this this is
yeah, that
definitely
is
not
kind of
what you're
weird.
thinking it is.
Yeah, what am I looking on line
This is a
119?
financial transaction.
No, but
Oh, this one.
the
Okay, so yes, this is what you're.
119, that
Yes,
looks very all
yes.
of these things look pretty scary. What's happening here?
Okay, so this is giving us a new DB context. And since for like even financial transactions, you think of the ATM problem that you've heard a million times.
Uh,
You withdraw money, and so you have two, or let's say that you are transferring money from one account to another account. There are two events that happen. You remove an amount from one table or one record, and then you add that amount to another record. And so you don't want to be caught in a place where you have removed the amount from one record and then adding it to the other record fails. So the only thing we've done is decreased one account with a certain amount of money. Or you do it in the opposite order, increase the amount on the account, and then don't remove it from the first account, which we would all love, but banks don't want that to happen either. So you surround the whole thing in this unit of work that
but
says
are you?
both of these things must happen. And if not both of them happen, then we need to roll back both changes
All right,
or any
Marcus
changes
has
that we
pointed
make.
out something, and I'm with it. This has to use a database transaction to do a real transaction. Why are there semicolons on line 118 and 119?
Oh, yeah, because I am using statements as opposed to using blocks. But it's
Uh,
the same thing.
uh, I don't know. I think, oh, am I crazy? I
You are.
I don't know how to use computers. I've already proven I don't know how to use computers. Like, I think if this was working, it was coincidental. I think you did issue a request to dispose those things immediately.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Well, not immediately, but you are correct. So using statements, the lifetime of this variable is its parent scope.
So wait, the lifetime. So when dispose gets called will be at the end of this try block on line 127.
Yes, exactly, 127.
What?
Or in case of an exception, it will also get disposed.
Okay. Yeah. This is painting my head because
Yeah.
I I assure you, I program from time to time, but that was
Hmm.
like, no, this can't be right. This is
Yeah.
like
I
this
mean,
used to be the old like, oh, I made a horrible mistake, and the using statement ends after one.
right.
That was the old gotcha that I thought I had just caught you in, but
Oh,
turns out I was the one who was caught.
yeah. But it is the same as file scope namespaces, where the scope of this namespace, because you're not using curly braces to increase the indent, is from here through the rest of the file. Dukasoft. You didn't hear it, but Dukasoft played the fail sound.
No, I'm feeling it. I don't have to hear it to feel it. I feel it in my bones.
You can also
Um,
use a using declaration that doesn't require braces, curly braces.
yeah,
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 that's what I love about these,
golly.
because I don't like the extra indents. Like, I
Yeah,
try to keep as few indents as I can, which means early outs. It means block block level statements. That was almost hard to remember what they're called.
equality, you're just making me feel worse. But thank you. I don't care. Look, I program in YAML nowadays, so it doesn't matter. Thank you. No, yeah, that you're doing your job in Twitch chat. By the way, others are welcome. We have roughly 30
Is
minutes, I assume, a little
Yep.
under.
Nope, that's right.
People are welcome to join at any time.
Free to hop into
Um,
Discord, any of the voice channels, and I'll pull you into the stream.
we're randos on stream talking.
Yeah.
Any of us could. And then some of us learn things about C sharp features that were introduced
And C sharp
probably
7,
five
I
years
think.
ago. Yeah,
C sharp 7 or 9. I know it was one of the odd number C sharps that well,
great, great.
Tyron gave us the using.
I'll be honest, and this is how it's always been for me, is with C sharp, they might or might not announce something, and I, of course, will not read it. And then the JetBrains product will introduce like some little squiggly. They'll just say, hey, have you considered doing this new thing that's possible? And you use it, and you're like, oh, sweet, I've just learned something. And that's honestly how I learned a lot of C sharp, which is also a crutch because they don't support every C sharp feature even to this day, but when they do it, that's how I learn stuff. It's very lazy. It's perfect. Uh,
I don't know how
yeah.
to check when this was introduced. I'm no good at searching for things, especially on the spot.
Okay. So, um,
I used to be able to keep up with all of these because I always had YouTube open, and anytime there would be a new Microsoft video on the .NET channel or Microsoft channel or Visual Studio channel, I would be watching it. And now I'm swamped. I can't really
yep.
half pay attention to anything.
I don't. Yeah, the null. By the way, Tyron, when they announced the null stuff many, many years ago, I was very in favor. And now that I've seen it, I'm not in favor. But so be it. If they get it working completely, I'm in favor again. Same with the pattern matching stuff. I don't think it
What
actually
pattern matching
helps.
stuff?
Ah, they're trying to look like. Is it which language is most identifiable? They're trying like TypeScript is doing it too, where they have pattern matching, but it is not what they call exhaustive. So let's say you have an enum with 4 options in it, and you can say pattern match on these 4 enum values. Or in TypeScript, you would say type A equals B or C or D, and
Right.
I'll just say it. I guess it'd be integer or oh goodness, I don't
Payment
know anything.
transaction
Number or string
name.
or complex type.
Yeah.
Like anyway, in TypeScript they have a better implementation right now. But in theory, you can do pattern matching in TypeScript that says
Oh, that
pattern
can.
match on this variable of type A, and then
Right.
you can kind of get some compiler support to say it's either a number or a string or a complex type. But other languages, they'll say if you do this matching, you have to cover all 3 scenarios
Right.
perfectly. And these scenarios get incredibly complex. Anyway, the whole point is I'm in favor once they get exhaustive pattern matching. But until then, it's just kind of feels like syntactic sugar that misleads people and causes bugs. Good luck.
I don't know,
All
because
right.
like the way that I code is very generic, and since I use a lot of generics, I can do stuff like this. And this is what I just absolutely really like to use. So this is a form of the pattern matching where I'm
Yeah.
saying, are you
Yeah.
a payment entry type? If you are, then cast yourself to a payment entry type and use the variable my
Now
payment for
that
that.
is okay. I'm in favor. Well, I still don't. Yeah. I'm such an old man. All right. Chat, how many of you are old men? Old people. Old peoples. And you don't have to be physically old, you just have to be old in spirit. I'm old in spirit, and I just don't want to learn it. I don't know.
Well,
I'll be happy.
here's my the other one that I really like. So transaction date, and I'm making a tuple. Transaction type. Let's just do those two. And so here, when we use like a switch expression instead, so let's say I had some variable up here. Let's just do an empty string. I don't care. Hold equals I have tacos. I'm no good at this.
You
I
do
need a
have
concrete
tacos.
example.
Who doesn't?
um, type is not nullable, so it's not going to be null.
Just that's
We
going to start my
can,
rant on null checking, but
yeah,
can't. No time.
we would be able to use it didn't tell me to do it automatically, but we'd be able to use a switch expression for this. And I like this syntax much more.
Now, the I'm big on the. Oh, wait, this is pattern matching?
This is also a form of pattern matching, except that I
Yeah.
wouldn't be using var this when. I would be using the actual values in the tuple.
Yeah. Oh, you mean like a one in or a specific date or whatever?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
can use things like underscore any date and it must match type,
Yeah.
transaction type, payment, and then output a thing.
Well, I look forward to my next C# programming journey when JetBrains supports this feature, and I can just Alt Enter and just it creates it for. It's like, hey, your Boomer era if statement can be converted, and I'll do it. I'll try it a few times and be like, change it back. But no, I'll adopt it once I actually do some programming again. It's all good. Um, I program in YAML. I do very good work in YAML. Uh, and Bash. I'm learning a lot of Bash. Uh, turns out, and this is for all the Windows users out there, even Microsoft is writing most of their Azure documentation with examples in Bash. And I will say all Kubernetes examples are written in Bash. So you say, hey, I want to take this simple one-liner and dump it into the shell. You can
One
either,
liner.
yeah, any one-liner that involves like any dynamic stuff at all. Uh, you probably want to do Bash. Uh, yeah, Marcus, the thing I miss about VBA, which I did access way back when, was you could type lowercase and it would just
It
correct
would
it. And
capitalize for you.
you would just never hit the shift key. You felt, and I'm sure this is exactly what all the Vim people talk about. You just never leave the home road. Just keep typing, and you just never use your pinkies. It's great. Anyway, that's what I miss about VB. Uh, and that ends this section. New C# features adopt immediately. Hey, y'all, records.
Records, yeah, records would be nice.
Immutable records.
I
I
really need a better
would love to
implementation of
see.
that in my code. I need to use that more often.
I'm not sure you did like because this is the old story. You go make a DTO. It has three fields, A, B, and C. And you write a perfect constructor, like this is the old class syntax, right? You make a class, it has three properties, A, B, and C. You protect them, they can only be edited in the constructor. So you have a constructor with A, B, and C in it. And then your teammate who is using JetBrains products comes along and adds a fourth property. And when they use JetBrains to, alt enter, fill this in for you, it completely bypasses that constructor. Anyway, and it makes you extremely sad. It makes me sad, and I've done it to myself. And that's how I know it's not my fault, it's JetBrains' fault.
I'm
But
JetBrains.
oh man. All right, what do we got? Uh here's what I miss about VB.
You read that already. Tyrant's thing about the dumb rule. I didn't actually realize that that was the rule, and that's why they use the capitals on two-letter acronyms.
And there was something, what was it? Oh, XML, they went into the history of XML HTTP request,
Mm-hmm.
and there was
Mm-hmm.
they tracked down why that naming was that, and it was something about Microsoft's internal naming standards was like if it was
Something like
under
this.
3 or under, you'd capitalize it, and then 4 or more, you'd do the, I guess, Pascal case. I don't know what you call it, but I'm going to find that. This is important history. It's important that history not be lost, or it's not important, and you can go about your day and it doesn't matter.
I don't really remember which one it was, but yeah. But yeah, reference records can be reference or value types, and the main thing is that they have less overhead than classes. And
I'm
they
sorry.
also have a fantastic feature about them where you can clone them without needing them to be iClonable. But you're not really cloning them, you're making a new record that has the values that you are changing it to. So let's say we had a record taco. And I think they can only have properties. I don't
Try
know
it with the
everything there
constructor
is to know.
syntax. This is my
Uh,
favorite. Are you ready? You just,
yes.
after the word taco, you
Mhm.
put a parentheses and just start typing parameters, and that's all you do. And then this is the syntax that they introduced after they introduced the halfway syntax, and this one is what I love. In theory, but I haven't actually had to live with it on a big code base. So,
Forgot about that.
yeah,
I completely
that is
forgot about that.
perfect. And this is the thing that JetBrains, the last time I checked, didn't support, which it makes me sad because this is what I want all my DTOs to be as much as possible, or just anything where you just have just raw data. Throw data into an object that I can pass around for any reason. I'd prefer it be like this. But then you have to worry about like how does Newtonsoft deal with this? Am I going to have to do weird stuff to map to this type or whatever? It's all about what is it called? Ergonomics. There's a big word. All right. We got people are hopping, but they're not in the voice chat. We got 15 minutes left, y'all.
We gotta
Uh,
read faster.
that's a positional. Yep, it's great. Supports inheritance. Oh, it delivers on its promise. Equality says nice. It's just that like the little details of like how would I serialize into it from Newtonsoft? Do they support that? Probably not. Do I care? Would I just choose to not? What's it called? Use Newtonsoft. Oh, that's right. You got okay. Yeah, you got $70. That's a joke, but
70.
it's roughly. I think it's
two
roughly,
bits, two rainbow bits is roughly $70 apparently.
roughly. But it's a thought, and you're thankful. All right. Hey,
Have you ever flown through a rainbow in your Pegasus
no,
flight?
I can't say. Hey, I have flown on a plane before, but yeah, not no rainbows that I'm aware of. Okay, rainbow bits are the
Rainbows.
best. Um, Interesting. Unicorn.
Yeah, I haven't seen you streaming much lately, Sam. Epic of Sam.
So, yeah, we did a lot of productive work. We've done a lot of productive work today. But I
Yeah,
do love that record syntax, and I would love to use it
yeah,
going forward. I would
yeah,
just have to know
definitely.
where you can't use it.
Yeah, and I
Um,
think I started to use it for like entities or my DTOs essentially, but
mhm.
something about Jason. That's the only thing that I remember.
Yeah, I'm sure serializing into it is not going to work out of the box, or I hope it really does, but I'm sure it doesn't. Um,
It's in the back of my head here somewhere.
yeah.
It's been a long time since I tried it.
Um, we were gonna anyway. That it's going to be Jason, and you can't just say like, well, I'll use records anyway because Jason serialization turns out it's pretty much everything. It feels like everything at this point. If it doesn't do that well,
Yeah, yeah. Like everything uses some form of JSON serializing.
yeah,
Feels like
oh,
everything does.
I'm about to, yeah. Oh, I actually have a, you can help me out. Everyone can
Yeah.
help me out. Stream FX. How can I get this OBS plugin?
StreamFX.
Okay, so if you Google, and I'm sure all of you are furiously Googling to help me out, but if you Google this, it will say we have removed the downloads. And the reason isn't important. The point is, it used to be an OBS plugin that was free and open. They, yeah, non-free. They went behind a Patreon wall, which is fine. I've seen their build system, and it was pretty intense. So just for having to survive that much Azure pipeline stuff or GitHub Actions, they deserve their money. But I don't want to pay it on a monthly basis. Um, so I'm curious if anyone has gotten this running or has this running from a long time ago, because I'm just curious, mostly because I'm trying to get a bot working, a Twitch bot
Let's
working, and it
go.
relies on this for most of the interesting stuff. It's
Oh, and you
dead.
can't even ask ChatGPT currently because it wouldn't have information recent
Mm,
enough.
mm. Yeah,
Dang, this
it's
this
rough.
happened recently?
Uh, I don't know. Whatever it is, when I went to go check it like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was not
Mhm.
available. And you know what? I tried to build it from source and I
Oh,
almost died.
it's going
I
back in time.
almost just died. I installed a program called CMake, and I installed all of
A
the C++
program called
tools.
CMake.
Yeah, there's a tool called CMake.
No, I know. It just
I
sorry.
installed both versions of the Qt
You're saying
libraries.
it like it's a brand new a
Oh,
brand
it's
new
new to me. That
thing.
was the first time I'd ever written it, interacted with CMake. I've run make, MAKE from the command line, but CMake is something else. Yeah, CMake is it's wonderful. So anyway, it's fine. It was the project, and they basically depend on half of the
Your
world.
your mouth said one thing, but your hand said another.
I
I
don't know
don't
what
know
you're
if
talking
you're
about.
aware.
I don't know. I mean, my words are on screen too, but it's whatever. Anyway, it's all good. I almost died. You have to install half the world, and I did. And right now it is, I think I have to configure. There's about 40 CMake parameters for this project. So, but I almost got it working. So I was wondering if anyone did. Uh,
Sure
and then
was.
I tried to install it on Linux, which was a different kind of sadness. So that was fun. Anyway, yeah, there you go. Epic, yeah, we love you in your uselessness. We acknowledge your uselessness, but we love you anyway. There you go. That's how you say it. That's messed up. All right, what do we got? Yeah, Tyron, I am not doing C++ stuff, and I think I've been trying in my life to overcome these things that I have these like anxious feelings about. Like the C++ tool chain, the C++ tool chain in particular is like pretty ridiculous. Um, I think that's safe to say. That's safe to say, right? And then, but I could overcome if I would persist and keep attacking the problem, probably, or I would die.
I mean, I guess that's one thing that you could take to GPT with you is how do I
Mm,
compile C++ code using CMake
oh goodness,
given
it,
these
it's
instructions.
it is. I've gotten so far, and I just need to sit down and do the rest, and then hope they don't deprecate it with the new OBS releases. Um, Tyron
Tyron,
says we
I
can
can
delete Python.
almost.
I've heard so you hate the tool chain, I assume, because the language can't nothing can be wrong with the language Python, right? Besides the indentation. Who cares about that? By the way, you could get on say this with words too.
Thank you, Benito, for the follow. Like right now, all of the AI stuff is. Oh, and he got an ad. I'll wait. I'll wait the 6 minutes of ads. I have no idea how long ads take. Why? Why? Just because I want affiliate because I wanted some new tools and toys. Um, but like the all of the AI tools and data mining and data science stuff is done mostly using Python or R, other similar things, but I don't think we can get rid of Python at the moment. It's what's driving every AI innovation, it seems like.
And that makes me sad that you hate it so much because I see it as a way forward for complicated scripting because my life is scripting um, in various forms or automation, I should say. So Bash is horrible. PowerShell's great, but good luck getting that adopted by most of the world. Um,
I wouldn't go that far.
you
Yeah,
would say
let's
it's great.
let's just do everything in PowerShell though. I think you're right.
Okay. Oh, Python. Okay, it's a great. Okay. Yeah. Of languages, I can see like, look, I have installed Easy Install, Pip, Conda, and I think Anaconda exists too.
Microconda,
Oh, is there a micro? Great.
micro,
Like, I understand
mini
those
conda.
five.
That's what
If
it
you're
is.
talking about those things, like this makes you sad. This makes me sad.
Use
Yeah,
English mostly.
Epic. Thank you. You're very helpful. These are these are helpful. But I get like that I fully understand. I assume the language is amazing. Amazing. Python that use C# syntax. Huh. Okay.
Yeah, pretty
Hmm.
much C sharp is a scripting language.
Hmm.
Objective
And
C.
I think in larger companies there's a lot of Golang. Golang is used, and they're not scripts. It is things that used to be run on scripts and need to be more production grade get converted to Golang. What do we got? Oh, so you actually hate the language. Interesting, Tyron. I've never really used it. I did it 1 week or about 2 days while Googling furiously. Good
Did it while
times.
I was trying to learn natural language processing.
Mm, mm.
Trying to learn.
Yeah,
Still
yeah,
haven't.
that, yeah.
Like I just wanted one aspect of machine learning and AI that I could just focus on. And I picked NLP,
Mm,
and that's so broad,
mm.
just way too many concepts. But it seems like it would be easy if I understood the underlying concepts better. Most coding I've done is HTML and Nightbot.
Is Nightbot still in existence? That's the better Twitch TV people, right? Hmm.
Bugs.
Hmm.
I have stream elements. It's HTML coding. Yes,
I
because they're
would
still
say
using
yeah.
syntax and grammar.
There you go. Tyron, the real question is any of what we do coding, or is it all just too easy? That's the real question. For me, the answer is it's all too easy. Trouble with machine learning, no one really knows what it's actually. Yeah, black box.
There was a
There,
great TED talk on that. I'll find out while you say your thing.
no, I would that completely done. I would
Just
love to also have an answer to that and get better feedback on intermediate, like what went into stuff. There was a fascinating thing, stable diffusion, I think, had
OJS.
someone had programmed where you send it a picture and it tells you what words it thinks it sees,
Yep. I will
like
show
what
you that
prompt
right
generates
now.
it. That is an awesome, that feels like a very useful tool to have everywhere. Like, what do you see out of this thing I'm sending you? And that helps you craft, do your prompt engineering. 2023, that's where we are.
Let's go with deliberate.
Epic will allow it.
It's not fantastic. GPT-4 probably does it better now. But let me pick an image, such as in. Got to do this all off screen. Oh, hush, phone. Don't you feel graced? Okay. Yeah, this will be a hard one for it to pick up. Um, so here would be an example. We're going to interrogate this clip, and it's going to tell us the thing that generated this picture is not going to populate because it's going to take forever.
It's 12 out of what?
There.
Looking,
A room filled with lots of different types of items and decorations on the wall and ceiling of the room. David, 10 years. The third art house, a still life, neoplasticism.
Dave, okay, an artist, and I will also say, whoa, it didn't have colors listed. I thought colors
Yeah,
were
I would
important.
have thought colors would have been there.
Yeah, brown.
Whoa, we're
Make it
almost done
brown.
ending epic. I mean, same. But like, let's do no low res, no poor quality, no.
And you're running out of time.
I am.
Stay flat.
I am. Let's just do that prompt and see what it actually generates. I will guarantee it is not a
Oh
picture
man,
of
you're going
gold.
high res.
High res? No,
Such
that would take
wealth.
too long.
Pixels.
We're not turning on high res at the moment. I mean, close. It's got the colors and stuff. Go big.
Okay.
I guess. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's. Can you run a second one that's a different
Yeah.
seed?
Yeah. We are. Yep. Let's run 4, actually. Looks like my downstairs toilet. What? And Scott is saying Invoke AI is better than. So I have Invoke AI installed. I haven't really used it that much, but the one that I really want to learn how to use is called Comfy UI. Comfy AI. Comfy UI.
Hmm.
Anyway, here are 4 pictures that it generated.
Okay. Bottom right is starting to look as cluttered as the painting.
Mm.
Interesting.
But the prompt that I actually used for that was a room filled with pirate bounty.
Oh, did you? Is that
Yeah.
what you changed? Okay. Well,
Yeah.
this goes to show it's all random. All right. No, it isn't. All right. You're messing with
I'm messing
me.
with
All
you.
right.
Like, what
Wouldn't
am I
like to be the
messing with you?
cleaner. It's fine, Marcus. The solution is just never clean it. It's easy.
It's intended to
Solve.
look that way. Except for whatever this thing is on the ceiling that looks like water damage.
Oh, that's right. I guess it looks like a painting of something, like the other ones have paintings on the walls. I mean,
Oh,
on the ceiling.
true. Yeah.
On the walls too, it
It's
turns out. But
intentional.
ceiling itself is painted, and it looks like there might be an image in there. There's a
It's blood from the upper floor. Thanks,
oh,
Ubisoft.
that is. Well, you're not wrong. I cannot say that is that might be the best explanation. All right.
Is it her? It's her. How to get inside the brain of an AI. So this video here, if you feel like watching it because of the statement that we made earlier about we don't really know what's going on inside of AI when it does what it does, she kind of talks a little bit about that and how they're comparing it to the human brain and how it works compared to AI and how its layers work
Hmm.
when it's doing generative models, when you're
Interesting.
using a generative model to generate a thing. So I thought that this was really interesting. But yeah, it sounds like they are starting to understand the inner workings of AI a little bit better by studying the human brain and comparing it to the human brain. I love it. It's cool stuff. But
Excellent.
anyway, I think it's time for you to do the closer.
Time to go, everybody. There's like, follow, and
Bye.
subscribe. Later.
Any last words?
Later.
Just later. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you, LiveCoding, for hanging out with us. Thank you all. Did you hear about the machines? Like they make dead spiders into robots? Ugh. Ugh. No. Blech. I hate spiders. Not hate spiders. I just get creeped out by them. I understand that they're needed and stuff, but live somewhere else that is not inside of my house, please. Okay, so anyway, that's our stream for Friday. That was our community day stream. It flew by. I had a lot of fun hanging out with you guys, talking with Peter. Always a joy. It's always fun hanging out with him. I am going to set up a raid. We're going to raid out to Red Cabin Games. Haven't raided him in a bit. But he is making a game that is called Space Scavenger, and it is really fun looking, really cool looking. I'm looking forward to it, to playing it. But yeah, that's going to be there. Summon the call energy. The what? The call energy. But yeah, good to see you too, Epic. Hopefully, I'll be able to catch a stream next time you stream. And no pressure, though. I didn't mean to shame you for not streaming earlier. I just wanted to let you know that it's really enjoyable being able to watch you stream when you do stream. And thank you so much for the follow. Oh, Carpe Diem. Oh, you're not supposed to say the O's. But thank you, Carpe Diem, for the follow. I will be back again on Monday at 10:30 a.m. where we will resume the financial management project. We'll figure out what the thing was that was left. Oh, it was the add and delete or modify and delete for the line items. And that's going to essentially be the last bit of functionality we need for this edit transaction stuff. Anyway, I'll post this video to YouTube no sooner than 24 hours after I end the stream. And feel free to hang out on Discord with us. We have really cool people there. That's it for me. Timer's counting down, so I'll wave. I'll turn the music up. I'll turn my mic off and then my camera.